All right, Thomas, go ahead and get us started today.
Good afternoon, buddy. How are you today?
Doing well, Thomas. How are you?
Absolutely outstanding. Feeling good,
Great.
feeling clean. There
Love
we
it.
go. All right.
Love it.
Hey, just wanted to check on some of the the move made after last night's game. First,
Okay.
bullpen with Chacin and Chacin.
Right.
They both considered long guys, or is one considered more of a kind of normal relief type thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think in theory, they're both long guys, but I mean, you can potentially see, both guys, pitch an inning, maybe a critical inning or an inning to get us to another guy. It depends once, they get in there as a reliever. We'll see where they go. But in a perfect world, they're both built for multiple innings. If there's a multiple inning slot there for a relief pitcher to come in, those guys are very capable. To pick up a starter, potentially after the fifth, after the sixth, depending on the score of the game. I mean, there's ways to use these guys that I think can be long or can be short. And I think they're both capable of doing that.
Also, in the ninth inning, we saw Estevez do his thing last night, barred a couple times over the weekend. Are you looking at a possibility of maybe a closer by committee of two, where both of those guys share that load right now? Or where do you stand with the ninth inning?
I think that Daniel would probably be the choice if he's rested and ready to go. And we feel as though, his frequency, how his arm is, how he's been pitching. I think that is probably the way we'll go with Daniel as the ninth inning guy for now. But I think, that's one of the reasons why I shot Carlos in there last night, because I think he's capable of pitching the ninth inning as well. And hopefully that his recent performance continues, right? He's just had a couple outings since he's come back from the pulley finger, but, I really like the way he was throwing prior to that. So, potentially he could be a guy. I don't think we're going to juggle them per se. In a perfect world, if they're both rested and ready to go, I think Daniel, as of now, would be the preferred choice to pitch the ninth inning.
All right. Hey, just a couple things on Gilbreth being sent down, and also Lawrence, who's pitching the ninth inning in Albuquerque. How well are they? And it looks like they're making progress. So how are they comprehending the things you want them to do to kind of finish off their development, whether it's here or whether it's down there? It seems that you guys are trying to give them clear instruction. When you send them down, we want you to accomplish these things.
Yeah. Well, I think with Lucas, we talked last night, 2 years ago, 2019, he was in Lancaster as a starting pitcher. So his volume of work as a reliever is not great. The move to the bullpen really, has happened recently. So, he's got to get used to that role, both mentally and physically. But this kid's he's a bright kid. I think he's handled it well, taking on this new role as a pitcher. And he just needs repetitions. And with that, I think he has to understand that, how to warm up, the mindset coming into a game, the importance of that first hitter he faces. These things are all learned through experience, coming out of the bullpen. He just hasn't had a lot of it. But I do think he's a quick study to be able to get up to speed fairly quick. 25 years old, good head on his shoulders, good pitching conversations with the pitching coaches and I. He's not that far away, I think, from being an integral part of the bullpen. And it could happen as quickly as this year. But, our instructions to him is just, get your daily routine. And for him, it's been a little bit, punctuated because, we've sent him up and down a couple times, and, that whole experience of really not being able to get into the flow of, everyday work and, being in one spot for a long time. It just hasn't happened. But every day that goes by, he's learning a great deal. So it's, for me, just in simplest form is he has to pitch out of the bullpen, log appearances, continue. I think his arm strength is improving. I think we've seen a tick up in the fastball the last couple outings. I think it's just a matter of time, for him to maybe, like I said, really settle in, as a big league pitcher. I know that's saying a lot, from a guy that, hasn't pitched a lot the last couple of years, but, he's got a lot going for him.
And Lawrence, I noticed they're giving him the ninth inning down there. Probably in some games he may pitch earlier, but it seems just from watching the way he's being used that you want him to pitch under some pressure, right?
Well, he's going to pitch at the back end of those games, and I think that Schaaf is going to use him accordingly, and I think Schaaf is going to use him often. Again, to get him reps as well. He's got to pitch. He hasn't pitched a lot, the last couple of years also because of his suspension and COVID and the whole everything. So he's got to get out there and log innings as well to get comfortable. Pitching late in the ball games at AAA. So again, I think we saw a few hiccups here that hopefully in time will get cleaned up in AAA. So when he comes back, he'll be able to settle in too as a guy that we can lean on to put a zero up. I see him as a 1 inning guy. Coming in throwing the ball in the upper 90s from a unique angle and a breaking ball that has great separation from velocity of his fastball. So, but he still has some things he has to clean up.
Thank you, buddy.
Nick Roque?
Yeah, buddy, to follow up on Chichi, because he is in a bit of a tricky spot. Is there a way to keep him stretched out to where if you needed a starter in, say, like 4 days, that he would be ready for that?
Oh, he'd be fine in 4 days. I think, Nick, where you run into problem is, that 2 to 3 week window if they haven't pitched a lot and they haven't pitched, multiple innings or got pitch count to, 45, 50, 60. That's where you worry about stamina if he were to start 3 weeks from now. As a starting pitcher who's pitched, 90 pitches, that you're good for a couple weeks to go out there and do that again. If you've pitched an inning or two out of relief, he'll continue to throw sides to stay sharp, during games if he gets up. But you worry about the 2 to 3 week length off from, any major pitch count.
So, I mean, it's kind of here nor there, but like just out of curiosity. So is there any way to just have him throw like a really long side session?
That doesn't really mirror pitching in a game, but,
okay.
Hopefully there's some good games that, you always hope for a wide spread that maybe we're up a number of runs and we can have, Chichi or Chacin throw, three solid innings and, throw, 40, 50 pitches. But obviously you'd like to see that happen in a win and maybe not in a game that we're behind.
Yeah, go ahead, Owen.
Okay. Yeah, buddy, I just wanted to ask you about Kyle coming back today. How much are you looking forward to having, the original rotation that I think you sketched out, you anticipated starting the season with in place with Kyle coming back now? Yeah,
it's a good feeling. We didn't lose much with Chichi. As you know, he pitched well. But it's good to get Kyle back. I think Kyle's, such a big part of this group, from a leadership standpoint and a competitor. And I think the rest of the group feeds off each other. And I think Kyle's a big part of that. And I think the position players, love playing behind Kyle, right? He's, in a way, he pitches like a position player. He runs the bases hard. He swings hard. He likes to slide. He's intense. He's fun to play with. And I know that our guys like that. And for me and the coaching staff, and I think the fans, I'd like to watch him pitch because he competes his tail off. And I love that about him. And he's prepared to play, and he fights hard, and that's always fun when it's his day to pitch.
And with the guys in the rotation now, this is a group that I think has really kind of come into its own under your management while you've been with the team. Do you have a special relationship? I mean, I know you have a good relationship with all the pitchers you work with, but when these are guys who you've really helped get their footing at the major league level and become a viable starting rotation, is that something special for you to have a rotation like that?
Well, it's something that we've talked about, the importance of that, that part of your team. I think, starting pitching, if you have it and it stays healthy and you have your 5 guys, going to the post, that, your 5 best starting pitchers in the organization, because that's really what you're talking about, right? When if you talk about all your pitchers in your system and all the pitchers in Denver, your 5 best guys should be in the big leagues. And fortunately now I think we have that. And, that just goes a long way to success. I mean, you look at any team that wins consistently, any team that has a good season, it's, for me, the starting pitching is probably the most vital part of a team's success. So we feel good about that, right? I mean, that's, a huge part of our success a few years ago when we went to the playoffs. And it was a huge part of, our second half struggles in 19, right? That just, the guys that we counted on, they were injured, they missed starts. We had to go to other guys, and those last couple of months of 19, got away from us. We just couldn't recover. And last year, again, I thought, we pitched pretty well out of the rotation. For the most part, we didn't score a ton of runs. We didn't hit great in the clutch last year, but the starting pitching, over the last number of years has been a bright spot for me, and it's really nice to see those guys develop and become the guys they are. I think I stopped a couple of years ago calling them, young starters. They're past that now, right? They're into, their 4th and 5th seasons, and John really into his 6th season as a starter. So, these guys should be doing what they're doing. And I know the expectation amongst themselves is more. They want to do better. They want to be more consistent. They want to, not have rough games. But, we feel good about each one of these guys when they take the mound. And, tonight with Kyle coming back, it sort of solidifies that group.
And lastly, when you get a couple pieces coming back, with Rogers back for 4 or 5 days now, and Kyle coming, and that's mixing with your recent success. That may be a coincidence, but do you see that, as the team is getting closer to the way you anticipated coming out of spring training, they are showing their true colors a little bit more, and along with that, just the impact that one tweak in the roster can have, or a couple small tweaks. Well, not small, big tweaks probably, but
I'd like to think that, we're getting closer to more consistent baseball as far as the one loss. But still, it's a factor of all those groups, meaning starting pitchers have to do their thing, which I think for the most part they have. The bullpen's been too inconsistent. We got to really shore that up to win games, that we should win, or, put away games that we should put away and not have, anything go sideways at the end and try to hang on. Those aren't fun. And offensively, I think we have to be a little bit more consistent there too, as far as run production and on base percentage and getting guys on base and scoring runs. So, hopefully, Brendan can help with that. Hopefully, it was a good sign last night that Diaz hit a homer. Maybe that will help him exhale a little bit. The catching, we felt good about the offensive component of those guys, and that's sort of gone the other way. But it's a long season left. I still think the catching will be productive offensively. but it's all going to work together. You can't have you can't have a weak spot. You can't have a weak link. They all got to do their part. I feel pretty good about our defense. I think that's that's not an issue for us. But we got to do all components. We got to pitch both out of the rotation and the bullpen. We got to score more runs, and we just got to play consistent ball games each and every night in all areas.
And you've said this many times that your starter should be the 5 best pitchers in your system.
Right.
You look around at some teams, and it seems like the philosophy is more piecing together 9 innings, where maybe the starting pitching is a little devalued in there. Have you ever leaned in that direction, or do you feel like as long as you're sitting in that chair, the 5 best pitchers, and maybe you squeeze a little bit more out of them than in some other situations?
Well, I think every team's unique in how their roster looks and how their roster is built and where they play. I think in Denver, it's hard to, when you say piece together a game, I've always felt the least number of pitchers you can throw when we're at home, the better off you are, as opposed to, running, 4, 5, 6 guys out there and hoping that all 6 guys pitch well. Sometimes we've seen that here already this season. Some of our struggles have come from we get a good start, we get a good inning from a reliever, then we get a bad inning from a reliever, and then we get a good inning from a reliever, and that bad inning, maybe change the complexion of the game. So piecing together a game, in Denver, I don't think is the way to go. I think you got to have consistent starting pitching, because it helps your bullpen stay rested. It helps relievers stay fresh. Their stuff stays better. They're mentally in a better spot. Physically, they feel better because they have more rest. The whole component of coming in and out of altitude and pitching up in Denver, it's hard on pitchers. It's hard on position players too. We know this. So it's really tough to really mix and match game by game with a number of pitchers. I think for me, I think it's the best road for success is to have starters who are durable, who can log innings, who can hold their stuff.